Hi and welcome to the Flatback 4 podcast with me, Andy McGuire. Scott Eaglen, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, really good, mate. It's been a few weeks. We're back.
Yeah, we've had our winter break, haven't we? And we've all had COVID-related issues that we've had to deal with. But it's actually probably a good time to come back and do the podcast because we're into the second round of fixtures now. Everyone's played each other once. But big news this week, apart from games, is Lampard's he lost his job. We found out, I think it was Monday. Little bit surprising because we thought that maybe with the loyalty, club legend, highest goal scorer ever, would Roman Abramovich be a little bit more lenient. He hasn't been. He has been as ruthless, and you can say that he's kind of stuck to his, of his manual really of being an owner and getting rid of managers when they've not performed. He did do a nice cover letter, which he's never really done with any other manager before. But where do you stand on the whole? Are you shocked? Was it obvious and whatnot?
Yeah, I don't think I'm shocked. I mean, you're never shocked these days with managers and how quickly they go. I think he did an okay job there. I didn't think he did anything particularly wrong. This was probably his first bad run, wasn't it?
Well, they started the season off great.
They started the season off great. They looked good. They looked the same as last year. The kids were running the show really. I think probably what did him over was the fact that I think there were too many players brought in so quickly, and I think I'm only saying it from an outsider looking in. That I think, if we're the older players and say myself and you are like Giroud and Aspilicueta, and we're seeing and we see kids coming in and sort of running the show. When we get our chance, we're like, well, you've sort of shown your face with the kids. Now you want us back. So I think there's.
Yeah,
I think
we brought Rudiger back in, didn't he? He brought Rudiger straight in, which we're going to get onto a new manager. But going back to Lampard, like we said, we know he had a decent start, and he did well last year to get him into the top four. The pressure was off though. He spent 200 million. Werner, Havertz, Hakim Ziyech as well as he's been a bit inconsistent with injuries. However, with the pressure of not having that money last year and he got into the top four, do you think maybe doing that last year has kind of it put pressure on him immediately this year then to obviously then try and kick on, maybe not go and win the league, but you got top four, a firm top four, and maybe try and close that gap, which we thought we were going to be Liverpool, Man City. I think we've got to still throw Man City. So do you think he's kind of a bit of a what's that thing, when you
he's like,
when someone's done it.
He's like a victim of his own success, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. Victim of his own success. I couldn't think of the words, actually. Yeah, because he got him into the top four on no budget, but then the pressure was immediately on. And Werner, unfortunately, hasn't kicked on like we all kind of thought he were going to do, really.
Yeah, I think it is his new signings that have let him down, isn't it? I mean,
100%.
He set the expectations quite high last year, didn't he? You look at it from the beginning. He lost. Obviously, Hazard left. He had no transfers coming in. I think they just wrapped.
Sorry, can I just stop you there, though, Scott? You said that he set expectations. I don't think he did. I think he actually put the youngsters in. So I think the actual lack of expectations were probably a better word for it, because he just went, you know what, I'm going to go with the kids. And if it had failed, they'd have gone, well, I've had no money. But then he didn't. Reece James, Mason Mount, and they all played well. Tammy Abraham got like 18, 19 goals.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether expectation is the thing.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, the kids did really well from last year, and I think, like we say, his downfall was maybe the players that came in weren't up to standard, and they need time to settle in. Particularly players like Werner and Ziyech. Silva obviously a great signing in terms of they needed a leader, they needed a centre back with experience. His goalkeeper situation hasn't helped him out a lot. He's had to bring.
But they started really good. Remember that they actually. I mean, remember Thiago Silva's first game? I think it was against West Brom, and he had an absolute nightmare. And it was kind of like welcome to the Premier League.
It was like 3-0 half time, wasn't it?
Yeah, but listen, they settled themselves down and whatnot. However, Mendy has looked better in net when he's been. He looks a little bit more assured. He's had a couple of little dodgy things in the last few weeks, but maybe that's just confidence of losing games as well. But they had that great result in Sevilla, didn't they?
And Sevilla haven't lost at home for years, and they absolutely brushed them to one side. I think, listen, it's just one of them things, isn't it, where Chelsea, Roman Abramovich, he's ruthless, isn't it? And it's the same sort of model of running a club as Watford, maybe not to the extremes as Watford, but it's proved a success for him. What is it, 15 managers in 15 years? So Lampard knew exactly what he was getting into. I'll ask you the question, mate. Do you think he was sacked too soon, Lampard? Would you have given him more time, or?
To be honest, mate, looking at what was out there with Pochettino going to PSG, I think there really was only Thomas Tuchel out there that was ready to come in and kind of do a job. However, I personally would have given him till the end of the season, because I don't, in this craziness of COVID and what's happened and no fans being in there, I kind of feel that I'll take Solskjaer and Arteta. They are two classic examples. They were both favourite to get the sack 9 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was Solskjaer first and then Arteta. And then they've kind of got past that. Man, you were now leading the Premier League up until last weekend. Arteta, as soon as he got that victory against Chelsea, ironically, on Boxing Day, look at the result that's gone on. I think there was too much talent in that Chelsea team that I think he could have got out of this sticky patch. So yeah. To your question, I think it was a little bit too soon. I think they should have given to the end of the year.
Do you think that if there was not a Thomas Tuchel available and there was a lack of managers available, do you think they probably would have given Lampard more time?
I would think so. I mean,
do you think that was like a nail in his coffin when he left PSG? Do you think they already sort of had one eye on him, because they were quite naughty in the sense of, one day he's sacked and the next day somebody else comes in. So they've obviously laid the groundwork.
100%. Listen, the talks have gone on there before. I remember when we spoke to him, Dowie, and he said, sometimes the conversations are always going on behind the scenes. I think that they've approached Thomas Tuchel. I think do you want to come back? This is a thing, blah blah blah. Because Lampard was sacked, and it was reported on the same morning that Thomas Tuchel was stepping in, and sure enough, the day after he was in the dugout, he flew to London. So yeah, of course, listen, Chelsea had that good win against. I know it was Luton in the FA Cup, but I was looking at it. He's left Chelsea, Lampard, in a really good position. They're only a couple of wins off being back in the top four. FA Cup, Champions League knockout stages. Was it that much of a crisis? I don't know, mate.
They're still in 3 cup competitions, aren't they? And I mean, what will he be judged on short term, and what would be a success for him this season? For Roman Abramovich.
Tuchel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, Tuchel, he has to get a tune out the Germans. Obviously, he's German. Whether maybe thinks that helps, I don't know. Apparently, he's a very strict disciplinarian. He's a vegan. He doesn't eat bread. He's very, he's just very, strict. Now, what about if he gets the same? What about if Werner doesn't start scoring? What if Havertz doesn't play? He looks nothing like the player that we saw at Leipzig. Hakim Ziyech, and are they letting in goals? Then do you look and go, did you pull the trigger a little bit quick on Lampard? If Thomas Tuchel, everyone goes on about the... he has got a phenomenal win ratio as manager. I think it's 65%, which is the best in Europe, I believe. People will argue, say PSG, but other managers have been at PSG and not achieved that as well. So I don't know, mate. It's really hard to judge it, because I think that Lampard was doing an okay job. I think the players were letting him down. Could he have turned it round? We'll never know. Because if you'd have asked me 11 weeks ago, would Ole Gunnar Solskjaer be in a Man United job? I'd have said no. And now the top of the table.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll see what happens with Tuchel. But what next for Lampard? Where does Lampard go from here? Does he take a drop down to the Championship? Does he take another Premier League job, or does he take a job like Celtic?
I don't think the Celtic job's a good thing for him, and I'll tell you why. Steven Gerrard went to Rangers as his first managerial job, and I think that was kind of a good idea, because for me, we know it's not on the level, but there's a chance there was a bit more of a project there. There's a bit more pressure at Celtic. I think if Steven Gerrard wouldn't have won the league that he's going to do this year, I think people would have been like, oh, well, it's his first man, but he's done so well there. Where I think if Lampard walks into Celtic, there's pressure straight away to win back off Rangers. And Lampard's had the derby, the English, management style, the pressure. I think that would be not a step down, but I think it would be a bit of a sideways move because I don't think you can be judged up there. I really don't. I think Steven Gerrard can be judged what he's done with a Frailing team that have not won a league for God knows how many years. I think that maybe there's talk that it'll go to Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson's 74 next. Like, maybe. Would the pressure, would he be able to bring a standard of football at Palace? However, they tried to do that with Frank de Boer. Frank or Ron? Would it Ron?
No, Frank de Boer, yeah, where he lost 5 games.
They lost 5 games and he got sacked because he tried to change the philosophy. Lampard's smart, he's intelligent, world-class footballer. Me and you are both massive fans of him. I don't know. Would he go to Europe? I think he can speak Spanish, so I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think Lampard actually missed somebody just behind him like a Ray Wilkins? Because the man who was behind him was Jody Morris, who was another youngish manager or a youngish coach, who'd obviously managed the youth teams. But you look at Steven Gerrard at Rangers, who's got Gary McAllister behind him, who's obviously an experienced manager, knows Rangers like the back of his hand. Do you think that maybe Lampard just missed that bit of experience behind him? I say Ray Wilkins because obviously of his affiliation with Chelsea.
Yeah.
That would have been a match made in heaven, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Ray Wilkins, we were big fans, weren't we? We were devastated when he died. He was a real footballing man. There were talks about Avram Grant apparently coming in to help Lampard, which would have been good, being there at the club, well respected, managed Lampard, just to oversee some stuff. Do you know, mate? It's a really tough one with Lampard because I think he's going to go on to be a really, really top class manager. Yeah. Because I just think his family, his student of the game. Look what he's done. The guy probably wasn't the most naturally gifted footballer in the world, but yet he was the hardest worker. I think Jody Morris, you touched on it there. He was a youth team coach, brilliant. I mean, he's obviously he's great at bringing the young talent through. But maybe just having that little bit of a level head. I don't know whether Palace would be a good move. I don't know. It's really, he's got to. If he doesn't get the next job right, then there'll be questions that we ask. Of course he will. Because you come with a tag on you. Maybe that's why Pochettino waiting for PSG was quite a good move.
Yeah.
He'll win. He won a trophy 48 hours into his reign. He'll probably want to win the league, and it gives you a bit more of a confidence boost. So. It depends. Does Lampard want a project, or does a big club take on him again? Yeah,
I think he should go to somewhere like a Norwich. Somewhere where there's maybe not immediate pressure, or there's not, there's not that day-to-day pressure of the fans on your back all the time. Like a Norwich, like another Championship side who are maybe not, the expectation is not as high, and he can sort of not relax a little bit, but maybe just have free reign of trying to build the club and. He's shown already that his strength is bringing the younger players through. So they did it the same with Derby, didn't they? When he had Harry Wilson, Mason Mount, Fikayo Tomori. So he's got that sort of project, which is why I think, mate, it's nailed on for him to go to Bournemouth. And as well because his uncle's got the background there, and I read Redknapp as well. He could have the guidance of him. They've had a couple of, I think they've had 3 defeats in a row now. I just think that'd be a perfect.
Jason Tyndall, in it there.
Jason Tyndall, yeah. So they've lost the last 3 games. They've just brought in Jack Wilshere.
They have. Yeah.
I think that'd be. I mean, of course, nothing's gone on yet, but I just think that'd be an ideal step for him in his managerial career. A club that's good with youngsters. Maybe there's not 40,000 fans there every week. There's not that sort of expectation there, and it's a club that probably knows.
I think what we agree on that is off to Heronveen. Yeah.
100%. Granada.
Yes, nailed on for Heronveen for the project.
He's off to that same club that Tony Adams went to.
Oh yeah. When he did the daft road and then back. It's a funny one, but I still think that he will go on to have a good career as a manager, Lampard. But I just think he'll learn from this. Listen, Lampard will be a better manager now than he was even at the start of the season. Going through what he went through. So I mean, it's been over the last few weeks. We've seen Liverpool's form. They only got their first win and scored the first goals in 4 weeks. If we'd have said that to you in like September, October, you wouldn't have believed it. Even losing Van Dijk, they've kind of come through it. Big win from against Spurs the other night. Where do you see Liverpool at the minute? Where are they? Is it just a case of Van Dijk, or do they need to freshen up and Thiago's not really set the world alight. In fact,
No.
anything, I think he slows him down a little
He
bit.
does a little bit. He's not that sort of rock and roll footballer that like Jurgen Klopp's like, is he? You know, he's not that high pressing sort of midfielder. With Liverpool, I don't know. I mean, they went through a sticky patch. Wasn't that? You know, same as Lampard did.
Yeah.
But you know, they seem to be coming out of the other side. Will they get anybody in the next day or so? Leads us nicely onto the transfer window, but I think they were talking about bringing a defender in from America. I mean,
well, you know who's linked heavily with them? Arsenal player, Mustafi.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah. Apparently, he's
strange
really
move.
close. It's a free agent, and I think he's just looking for someone with a bit of Premier League experience. I think he's 32 now, but it'd be random. But we have seen that before, haven't we? With with clubs just getting the defender that's been 31, 32, being around, but maybe he's just looking for that little bit of
it's a shame
a bit of experience.
It's a shame there isn't really a free agent like a Kale. Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. You know, somebody like that. There was just an experience who's been there, done it. Who you know. Or Jagielka. I know, maybe not 38.
He was phenomenal against Man United the other night.
Yeah, what a performance.
Honestly, he was. I mean, I reckon the next morning he woke up and he was sore when he went for a wee on the morning. I bet he struggled to get there because he threw his body in front of it. He was shouting, he was dictating. It was great to watch. Jagielka.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is though, I mean, the two other defenders that have come in. For Liverpool, Nat Phillips and Reece Williams haven't done terribly.
No, they
have come in, but
they're young, aren't they?
They're so young, man. And it's when you're a young defender coming through, you want to play next to somebody who's vastly experienced, like a Van Dijk or like a Matip. You don't want to be playing with another kid from the youth team. Although saying that, I mean, Nat Phillips is 22, 23. He's not particularly young for a defender who's played in.
No, he's been around the team as well for a while. And
he were in Bundesliga last year. He got a few games last season with I can't remember who it was, but it was in the Bundesliga. But as well with him having players dropping down into centre back position like a Henderson, like a Fabinho, they're so short in that midfield, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, players around at the minute in terms of transfers. I can't remember the name of the lad who's I think he plays for New York at the minute, that was quite heavily linked, and I think Klopp was speaking about him yesterday. But they just need a bit of experience, don't they, to come in alongside those young kids. Because it doesn't sound like Gomez is coming back this season at all, and Van Dijk looks about 2 or 3 months off.
Oh yeah, they won't rush Van. I mean, Van Dijk probably won't want to rush back as well because of if the Euros go on. But obviously he wants to come back fresh, and they don't want to come back and get injured because he's 29, and you are falling into that age range of injuries catching up on you. And with Liverpool, when they lose a Fabinho and Henderson in defence, they lose that quickness in midfield just to get that 5-yard pass away, and that's what Fabinho breaking down play. And it's all right saying, well, that's why I've enjoyed. I think he made a great pass, Henderson, from the back. That's what he'll give you. And you go, I get that. Like, it's brilliant. But I always feel that it's going to catch up with you eventually, and you're not going to be able to. Fabinho and Henderson will go through. I don't know if it will happen, but when you look back in history, it generally does. It'll catch up, and they'll lose a couple of big games, and they'll go. That's what happens when you don't have a recognised centre back. So maybe bringing in a Mustafi, I know he's not amazing, but he has got Premier League calibre, and on his day he could be all right. And maybe under Klopp, we don't know. You got to remember he was an old Wenger signing and stuff like that. So maybe it might be a very shrewd move, 6-month loan deal.
Possibly.
But I do feel that the Van Dijk injury is potent in them not probably winning the league. Firmino started scoring goals again, but even the front three have looked a little bit shaky sometimes.
Yeah, I think that even the lack of goal scoring has stemmed from the lack of centre backs, because midfielders are having to cover. Trent and Robertson are pushing on us more because they feel like they're having to cover, and then there's more pressure on the front three to score. So listen, I think that injury of Van Dijk, it's like if and when Company was injured for Man City, there was replacements, but they just weren't even.
You saw the gap, didn't you? When Company was injured for Man City, you saw it. You're like, they just missed him. And when you look at your side and you see Company, you go, we're all right. That's the kind of thing. You look at Van Dijk. Did you hear the story with Charlie Austin with Van Dijk?
Yeah, about Lindelof.
It's incredible, isn't it? When you do look at it, and that's fine margins of football, isn't it? Do you sign Lindelof or do you sign Van Dijk? And not saying that Lindelof is a terrible player because he has actually had some beastly games sometimes, but consistency of Van Dijk is it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Transfers as well. Before we talk about other ones, Lingard is probably the most high-profile this week that we've seen. He's gone down and joined West Ham. West Ham are flying at the minute. They are really, really. I mean, they're looking good. David Moyes, Stuart Pearce, they deserve a big pat on the back, actually. Yeah. Just before we get into their things, do you think West Ham fans now will be as what's the word? Kind of as angry at the board as they've been the last, year and a half, 2 years.
No.
Because they seem to have piped down a little bit. Seeing, is that just a case of David Moyes?
Yeah, I just think you're only judged on your last result, really, aren't you? And I think West Ham fans will stay quiet if the results are good. I think they're still unhappy with the board, and same with Newcastle, innit? They hate Mike Ashley. But again, after today, they'll be fine. The stress with West Ham though has all stems from the promises that they made when they moved into the London Stadium, and that's just long-standing promises, and that was never fulfilled. And I mean, the view there is awful. It's not a football stadium.
Awful.
But I think that's the one thing that the West Ham fans, it will always stick with them. But I mean, they've been sensational this season. The signings that David Moyes has made. I mean, we'll talk about
Souček. We talk about Souček. Mate. We love him.
He's a beast, isn't he?
And you'd look at him and everything screams that he's not a footballer.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't look anything like it, but his late runs and his presence and what. And him and Declan Rice have seemed to have got this. I say understand. Yeah, I suppose it is an understanding. They play the deep midfield and whatnot, but then they're both making late runs. Souček, I think it's 8 goals he scored
something
now.
Like that, yeah. But you understand
15 million.
You understand the signing of Lingard, though, don't you? Because although they haven't got the strikers at West Ham, and he said yesterday, didn't he, David Moyes, that he's not going to go jump in for a striker just because they need one.
No.
They've got goals in the team.
Antonio's done great.
He's done great, and I know they're not heavily reliant on him, but there's goals from like Yarmolenko, and obviously Souček has come in, and Jared Bowen as well, who we're big fans of.
Well, big fan.
Do you
know what I think the good thing about Lingard though, mate? He knows the Premier League.
Yeah, he knows the Premier League.
Maybe that's what Moyes is going through, because the Yarmolenko, Felipe Anderson, they haven't. At least Lingard has got it.
Lingard knows Moyes as well. Worked with Man United, so they're obviously familiar with each other. Moyes could probably get the best out of Lingard. He's going down there to play. He'll struggle to get in the team. But again, he's probably gone there thinking, if I get 5, 6, 7 goals towards the end of the season, Euros again, and he needs game time because he weren't going to get it at Man United. So listen, it's a good deal. It's a good deal for all round. Man United are getting £1.5 million. They get him off the wage structure. We're never going to get in the team. It's a great signing for West Ham because they need to. Well, they don't need him, but they're heavily reliant on the forward players.
I think he adds quality. It's not just a signing for signing's sake. He's 28. He knows the Premier League.
And it's another option.
Take the drama away from Lingard and all the silly stuff he does. Listen, on his days, he's a big game player. I mean, he proved that for Man United in the FA Cup final. Then he is a good player when he wants to be.
Would you say he's unplayable?
Like you're laughing. No, listen, he is a good. He's a good midfielder. I mean, he was. He can raise his game to a decent level, Lingard, and he will be a good option for England. If I don't think he's nowhere near the first team, I don't think, but it is always good to have players on form. It's been a bit quiet. It's January, transfer windows with COVID.
It's been really quiet. It's been really quiet, and did we expect it? I think we expected it this January. I think. I still think we'll see a little bit of movement towards.
300 million on Monday, when it 300 million.
100%, mate. Harry Redknapp will be at a car door, trying to sign Odin Wingy for nobody. But listen, it's been a quiet January window. I don't think there's a lot of money around at the minute.
Who out of now, mate? If you had to just go forget whether it's West Brom or Man United or Man City. Which one team needs the most players in, or a player that could change the season?
I look at teams like Sheffield United. I think they need to take a gamble on somebody.
Are they not already down?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think
if they're gone.
I think if they take a gamble on somebody who could have that same sort of influence as, I'm not comparing it to him, but like a Fernandes at Man United, who can just totally change the season. we've seen it in the past. You know, when players have come to play for like clubs that are destined for relegation.
You had a tipple before you come on here. You had a tipple.
No, I felt my throat a bit.
I'm thinking that you think that Chef, you can get.
No, do you know why?
I could only get beat 2-0, I think.
I remember teams like Birmingham City when they were struggling in the early 2000s, and they were really struggling. Christophe Dugarry, and they brought him in, and he totally changed everything. And just to bring in just to gamble on a player, particularly at this season where games are so unpredictable, anybody can beat anybody. So Sheffield United for one.
Well, we did see that because Sheffield did beat Man United. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I just think
it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah. In my heart of hearts, I would think that they would be down. I would probably put a bit of money on Sheffield going down. The team that I wouldn't do is Fulham, and I think they're currently beating West Brom as we speak at the minute.
Okay.
So they're one team that Newcastle picked up a good win today. However, and Burnley obviously have had a couple of good results as well. But imagine if Newcastle and Burnley would have had a couple of bad results and Fulham win today. And I think did they win last week or did they get a draw? Listen, they're the team that you think they could get out of it, Fulham.
Yeah.
And maybe for me, they're the one team. If they had just something, whether it be that creative playmaker or just someone, because Lookman is a talent. He's a bit of an enigma, but he is a talent. But I think they're the team that could really pull themselves out of it. And if the end of the season they're 13th, you go, I didn't see that coming. But around December, they picked up them couple of wins.
Yeah, they've got some good players. And they've done this without Mitrovic. Mitrovic hasn't really played this season. He's been on the bench for a while. And they really struggled towards the start of this season, didn't they? Nobody saw them even getting anywhere close to what they're on at the minute. I think before today's result, I'd have said Newcastle needed players, but again, I still think they do. But I still think they do. I still think they do, but I still think they'll get out of where they are now. I still think they'll get out.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine, Newcastle, because Sam Maximan's back as well.
Yeah, as bad as they play and as boring as they are to watch, and they may not get as many results as you think they're going to get, but they will grind out results like they did today against Everton. And I think Steve Bruce will just keep them in the Premiership, and I think Newcastle fans would accept that for now.
For now, until they get rid of Ashley. That's just like a circus that just never seems to go away with it. No, I can't believe it's 2008 when he came in. It feels like
he's Lampard who's still under contract.
Well, actually, it only finished last year, didn't it? That 8-year deal. It finished, I think I want to say like October last year. It was something ridiculous, mate. September, October last year. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Do you think West Brom need a couple of new men? Snodgrass were a great signing, wasn't he? That were a no-brainer for them to bring him in, and I think they've just signed the lad
mate, for me.
I think they've just signed the lad from Galatasaray, the striker, who I think has scored 8 goals in 15 games, which makes you wonder why they're letting him go on loan.
He plays Premier League, mate. No matter what happens, no matter what league anyone's in, if you look at Igalo, he jumped at the chance on all that money at Shanghai Shenhua. He jumped at the chance to go and play for Man United. Why? It's Premier League, it's Man United.
Yeah.
It's the pull.
I want to ask you a question just to finish off in the last few minutes with, mate. I see a lot of people saying that managers like Allardyce, like Hodgson, like Moyes to an extent,
dinosaurs.
Yes. I see that word brandished about so much, and it's such a knee-jerk reaction to an older manager coming in and maybe not getting results, or like Sam Allardyce does and gets clubs out of relegation fights by not. They are called dinosaurs because they don't play the greatest of football, and that's the reason why.
Yeah.
But they are the best at what they do. What's your thoughts?
Well, you say about Allardyce, but Allardyce was one of the ones that really kind of changed, or not revolutionised, but he was really into his sports science, wasn't he? And
exactly.
You'd look at Allardyce and you'd have thought he's get it up, big man up pitch, but actually he's not like that. He is very astute, and I think it were Charlie Ostrich, it was on about Allardyce bringing him in at 6 a.m. and punish him and that. I don't know, mate. I think, listen, football every 10 years seems to have a generational thing. Look at what Guardiola did all them years ago, and he changed the way, and then Klopp did it. At Liverpool, but it took Klopp 3 or 4 years. I don't call them dinosaurs. I just think that it's not the traditional eye-catching football. But if you're West Brom, are your ambitions Europe, or is your ambition to stay in the Premier League and try and slowly but surely work your way up the table? They're like what Burnley and what Sean Dyche has done. Sean Dyche doesn't play the most amazing football, but he's not classed as a dinosaur. So it's a little bit harsh, a little bit unfair. I think Roy Hodgson's coming to the end of his time there, but I don't like that. But I do think that West Brom are down. I don't think Sam Allardyce is going to pull this one out of the bag. I think they're I think it's Sheffield. I think West Brom have gone, and that third one is really, really open. Yeah. Burnley, Newcastle, Fulham. I mean, even you're going to throw Leeds into it still. You just never know. If you have a few bad results and you get pulled into there.
Yeah, the thing is about West Brom as well, mate. You know, you look at the other teams that are in and around that area. Fulham can score goals, but maybe not great defensively. Sheffield United can't score goals, but are very good defensively. West Brom can't do either.
Yeah, I think, West Brom have been the most... Sheffield were only losing games 1-0, 2-1, and they were kind of in it. You know, they've got that Chris Wilder fight, where West Brom, I don't know who they are. Fulham were a little bit like that, but now got an identity. It's crazy, mate. The Premier League is crazy. If you'd have told me in December that Man U were going to top the table in January, I'd have laughed at you, but we're in that position. I don't know. It's going to be a very, very exciting end, of the season, and who's going to win what. We'll follow up on transfers, I'm guessing, next week when, Harry Kane moves to Southampton on loan, because we said that there's going to be nothing happening, but it's going to happen, isn't it? But yeah, we'll cover that. We're also going to look into. We'll talk a bit more about Leeds next week. We've got Leicester side tomorrow that they're purring. They're still up there as well, aren't they? So it's all open, mate. It's been an absolutely crazy, bonkers Premier League, which we all love, and it's just such a shame that we're not in there watching it.
Soon, mate. Fingers crossed. Soon.
Fingers crossed. It will be. It will be. But in the meantime, follow us on socials. We're going to still, we are going to put out a podcast next week discussing the transfers, what did or didn't happen. Any more managers might be sacked. But should we catch each other next week?
We'll do, mate. See you then.
Right. We'll see you then. See you later.